All right, everybody, simmer down. It's my turn this week. Submitted for the approval of the Twilight Sobriety. I call this story Tale of the Terrible Terror of the Golf Cart Parked on the Train Tracks of Terror. They say that if you park your golf cart on the train tracks long enough, a train will come along and hit it. Nobody really knows why.
I heard it's because that's the train's regular schedule, and it comes through every Tuesday night.
What? No, I heard that maybe it's a curse.
Oh, come on.
No.
From a wizard.
No.
Yeah, the train wizard.
No, bad show. It can't be a wizard, man, because being a wizard's bad, right, Papa?
Yeah, you're right. Wait, what? Papa? Who's Papa? Like your dad? Your father? I'm lost here. Is this like a Cats in the Cradle moment, or what's going on here?
Oh, no, you misunderstand. You see, I heard that life-giving magus on Adventure Time say those same words, and I thought they sounded really cool, so naturally I figured I'd try to find a place to pull it out and use it in my everyday conversation. I figured right now would be the time because you was throwing out words like curse and wizard and all that stuff, so yeah. One thing led to another, and here we are.
Oh, yeah. I love that show. Adventure Time's one of my favorite shows. I heard that blue guy over there, shoots ice, flies around, wears a crown. Yeah, that guy. I heard he was hot, like his bod, I like subjectively hot, like, I don't know, I don't pay attention, but, like his bod is objectively hot, because, he trains his core every day, and he hits his pecs like every single day, and, he hits his quads so many times a week, and, I wasn't paying attention or anything, but if you watch his lateral delts while he's doing lateral delt raises, they really pop out. It's pretty freaky to see. Not that I saw. I mean, I wasn't paying attention, but, he's also doing a ham specialization phase to get them hammies really screaming. And, I also heard, he's the real booty got me guy, but I don't know, because I wasn't really paying attention. I never met him. I didn't notice. It's just, I heard, I heard the ladies say it while they were drinking their Tex-Mex and toffee coffee the other day. But, I'm not jealous. I mean, well, maybe a little, because, it's just an objective thing. It's so intimidating to meet someone who's just so objectively hot. And, well, how am I the only one talking? And, oh, my, what a nice weather we're having today. And can we please change the subject to anything else?
This is awkward.
Yeah, well, I like Dino, because he got that friend named Football, and sometimes he fart, and this sound like an Atari.
Oh, yeah, Bebo. He's cool, too, yeah. Anyway, we need to get on with the story.
I don't got a BMO wallet, too. He got all kind of money in there, boy. Because, he's sitting around in a top-secret facility all day doing nothing, and they pay him in gold doubloons.
Yeah, and company stock.
Yeah, and not only that, but also the eternal caress of supermodels.
Yeah, and a firm handshake.
And compliments.
Yeah,
and his coworkers grabbing his butt.
Wait, what?
Oh, come on, you're telling me nobody else here likes that. If Chris Tucker liked it on Rush Hour 2. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, and 401k.
Oh, mercy, yes. Can't forget that 401k.
Yeah, I like that part on The Dark Knight where that van pull up in the alley and Jack Nicole's son jump out the back, and he start going, ah-cha-cha-cha, with this hat. And then that chick kiss him and give him a retirement plan.
Was that like a deleted scene, or did that really happen?
I don't know. All I know is you ain't asking the questions here. I am. And I want to know how we get a job like his. And what about your train story?
Ah, crap. I can't remember. I don't know. Don't park your golf cart on the train tracks. Look, let's review the commercial we made before we can put it on air, okay? We got to get some money flowing in. You got it ready over there? Good, roll it.
So, Lakishma.
How doing, Mr. Booty Got Me Like guy?
I've been thinking you're like 40% of what I've been looking for in a woman. Maybe you could, give me your phone number.
Are you serious? We are literally in the middle of a paintball match and you are out here calling me a fine apple. Cease the woo pitching at once. You are not a bank. You don't have my interest. You filthy bum.
What? I thought we were compatible.
Hey, loser, chew on this.
Ah! My friggin' back, man! Oh! Stings as bad as a rejection.
Has this ever happened to you?
I mean, the sting of rejection. And also, I got hit by a paintball.
Most people face rejection from time to time. They'll also probably be hit by a paintball or other stray projectile. We're not sure which is worse. That's why the fine folks at Placebo Supplements come up with Placebo Body Armor. Bill Tetley and Uncle Rico, the masterminds behind Placebo Body Armor, know that picking up the chicks is all about confidence. And you too can have confidence walking the streets and forests, feeling somewhat protected.
Wow! I feel slightly protected, and as a result, a bit more confident in this Placebo Body Armor. Patent pending. I think I could run just a little bit faster in it than I could regular body armor.
That's right, folks. You can run slightly faster in Placebo Body Armor than regular body armor. It's like you're wearing nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
You know, I also feel very protected in this Placebo Body Armor. Patent pending. I think I could take another shot from a paintball and still be relatively fine.
Well, if you say so.
No, don't do it.
Their new patent-pending placebo protection fabric is proven to be 2% as effective as regular body armor. Pretty much, because it's basically just there.
Nothing at all.
And that's the worst it's ever gonna get. So invest now.
Oh, even if I got shot again, don't you dare. I would feel so good. I feel like I could even be that stupid, sexy Flanders.
Nothing at all. And after you landed the date with that special somebody, flip the placebo switcheroo around to 007 awareness mode for a little bit of excitement.
This mode sets off an alarm to let everyone know you live on the dangerous side.
Oh, this street looks shady. I think I better flip on the old awareness mode to where I'm more aware of my surroundings.
I am not really wearing body armor.
What?
I am not really
No.
wearing body armor.
Shut up.
I am not
Wait, no,
really
listen.
wearing body
Shut
armor.
up. It's real. It's real. Yeah. High quality, space age material. It's good stuff. Yeah.
So rejoice in the fact that you now can wear your placebo body armor. Throw in your placebo sunglasses all separately. Get a spray of that placebo cologne. And take your placebo GF out on the town. If you buy tokens first. But be sure to hire a placebo designated driver. Sold separately. Placebo body armor. Does it really exist? Who knows? Who cares? I think I speak for everybody when I say I think we're going to move a lot of units, and I think I'd buy that crap.
What, you mean that little cheesecloth-looking vest thing supposed to protect him? You do see the welts on him, right?
No, I don't mean that piece of crap. I meant the paintball gun they were shooting him with. Did you see how fast that thing was firing?
And we are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to that show where the host does whatever it is people supposed to do when people tell them do that thing. Something like that. This is just a regular show about the regular show. I'm your host, that one guy with the name that's really hard to say. It's not important. Let's move on to why we're here. And yes, for those of you that are wondering, I did steal that directly from Aquatine, almost word for word. It's what Meatwad tells Boxy Brown to do when they're fixing up the kidney car. Hopefully I won't have to be fixing up any cars anytime soon, because I'm no good at it. But what I have done since the last time we spoke is I have taken on a position at my school to run the weight room, whatever that title is. It's not a paid position, but I got tired of seeing the kids not being able to, like move or squat to depth or get up off the ground. But they're getting better, and they are very good kids. They have very good attitudes, and looking forward to working with them over the summer and whatnot. I'm sure they're going to try to rope me into getting onto the field. Probably won't do that. We're doing a fundraiser right now to buy a machine for the room, and you're saying machines? It's a school lifting program. Yeah, this is a different machine. Okay, this is one that most middle schools, most high schools, just about any school, anybody that's going to play any sport that involves running needs this machine. And I'm not going to say what it is because it's going to be our secret weapon. It's a hip thrust machine. Anyway, I also spoke with a guy about getting us some shoulder pads, some new shoulder pads. Usually we get our helmets reconditioned. Shouldn't say ours because I'm not really part of the program. I like to help out. So I'm going to get no helmet reconditioning this time around, new shoulder pads. I found a guy. He actually reached out to me, promised me these shoulder pads were great. Like the company, I'm not sure what they actually do, but this material they're using, he says, is doubling it up to make body armor. I'm not sure what the deal is. He says it's a good material, though. Says it's great, very protective. He emphasized extremely protective. So he's actually going to give me a trial run, and we're going to, I think he's going to sponsor the show. So hopefully that deal is sealed by the time you hear this, and that's went through, and we'll play it from there. So looking forward to whatever type of, I mean, if they make body armor out of it, surely it's good enough for shoulder pads, right? So let's move on to some news, or as they say on AI for Humans, news. Yeah. Sorry, it's catchy. If you listen to that show, you know it's a catchy tune. And that show's getting really good, by the way, Kevin and Gavin. I guess that's the first bit of news. Kevin and Gavin are really taking AI engines and doing some creative things with them. And it still has a little bit of that G4 flair. There's my obligatory G4 comment for the show. And the last one not this week's, but the one before, they took two chat engines, and one of them, they had role play as a quantum ornithologist. So he studied quantum physics with a specialization in like ducks or something. And he had they described his most treasured rubber duck was a Sir Quaxalot, and it used to belong to Poseidon, and he ruled the seven seas with it, and he used it to talk to animals under the sea, and he got it he says he got it from these ruins. And basically he described the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he puts a rock on the pedestal or whatever and swaps it and runs out of there with boulders running after him. And then at the end, it does credit it, though. It says, just like in the scene from Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, something like that. But anyway, he always ended he'd end every answer with quack, quack, mother ducker. And I don't know, that they just come up with the most ridiculous stuff. I love that show. But anyway, this will be old news, obviously, by the time you hear this. Just like me, I'm old news. Maybe this show is just like an allegory for me. This is like a meta representation of who I am, I guess. But Kira Toriyama passed away. Figured I'd get that out of the way. I guess I'd have to say something, being I've probably referenced Dragon Ball so many times on this show. Guy was obviously a legend. I mean, you just look at all his works that he's done. I mean, the big ones even, you've undoubtedly heard. I mean, here, like it or not, Dragon Ball Z is probably the most influential anime of all time. I mean, I can't think of anything that's more influential than it. Like it or not. I mean, honestly, I'm so burnt out on it, I don't care for it. It was so formulaic there at the end for me, and it just seemed so predictable. But at the same time, it's you can't deny that it was an objectively influential anime, if nothing else. There's a lot of good things about it too. Beyond that, though, his really good stuff. I mean, Chrono Trigger, his character designs. I mean, he did character design for Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger, quite a few. There was a few other games he worked on too. There was one Xbox exclusive. But anyway, Chrono Trigger, probably my top 5 games of all time. I mean, that game was so groundbreaking. You had the best of nearly every world making that game, and they streamlined it into a game that was able to be appealing to the masses. So, and the character designs were a big part of that. Most of his character designs, they kind of, you could tell they were his, undoubtedly. He just had his signature style. whether it be the hair or the way that the taper on the characters were. They had like that slim taper. They all kind of came out looking Toriyama-ish. You could immediately tell they were his. And without him, that game, I'm not going to say it would flop, but it definitely wouldn't have the instant recognition, or I don't even know what the word is. It wouldn't have that instant appeal to it. I mean, you see that box art and you just see Chrono with the sword and, fire being casted and Frog and, just that game just has an aesthetic to it that few have matched, Dragon Quest VIII, another one, arguably the best RPG on the PlayStation 2. So Toriyama, great. I don't even know why I can't say enough. There's nothing I can say to emphasize just how legendary the guy is. He's and hopefully Nobuo Uematsu has a bunch of years left in him, but I just saw recently that he's said he doesn't physically or maybe emotionally or mentally or something, have the ability to continue making soundtracks for the Final Fantasy games. And he's another one. He worked on a couple tracks for Chrono Trigger, but he's another one that's in that legendary category that you just associate with all these franchises. And both of those guys, man, and hopefully that guy's got a lot of years left in him. Right now, though, Kira Toriyama will be sadly missed. I don't know how. I'm sure that the Dragon Ball franchise will continue moving forward. They had one planned, a new series that was more like a direct sequel to Dragon Ball Z, where Super was just like kind of not, he just had his approval. He was involved, but, had a little bit more involvement than GT, but wasn't like directly under him. I don't know if this new series is going to come out now or not, but, it's sad, but I'm sure something will, Dragon Ball is just such one of those cash cow franchises. I don't think it's going anywhere. But, rest in peace, Mr. Toriyama. Let's see. What else is on the docket here? X-Men 97 is about to come out. Will I watch it? No, because I don't have a Disney Plus account and I'm cheap. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it came out a couple weeks back. Will I play it? Not right now. I don't have $500 to drop on a PlayStation 5. But what I am excited about is Invincible. The new season of Invincible just dropped on Prime, I think Friday. Well, the second part of the new season. They split it up into two parts. So episode 5, I believe, dropped. And it's the first episode of the new part of the season. Whatever. It's a new episode. They started airing new episodes again. And story's picking up. It's still, they still got a ways to go, I believe, before it concludes. But, it's the quality's there, it seems like. I really like the show. It's definitely not for younger audiences. But, it's got a bit of everything in there. So, pretty cool. Let's see. I don't think there's anything going on in the world of cartoons or anything. I will say that I am holding out for a regular show reboot. I revisit this every once in a while, and it just seems like right now people want it. The ground's just fertile for it. I don't know how they would do that, because there are people that would oppose it because they would say, it ended the way it should have ended. And yeah, I don't think you're going to top that ending, to be quite honest. But like right now seems to be the time to be rebooting stuff. I mean, it's a really popular thing right now. X-Men, I just said. I think Batman the Animated Series is coming out with another one. And I know those are both 90s cartoons, but there's talks of a Spider-Man, or not necessarily talks that there's going to be one, but I think the creator said he would love to go back and revisit it. Maybe not even the creator, maybe just somebody that was involved. But people seem to be up for doing it, and people seem to be receptive and also critical of the ideas. But, I don't know. I'm always getting my hopes up for more regular show episodes. I've watched everyone like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So I just like new material. And speaking of some people being opposed to that idea, that's I'm sure that would be the case, because I was made very aware of how polarized the regular show community is on one of these Facebook groups. I think it was regular show park posting or something. There's this trend where, and I want to preface this by saying I can't stand political memes. I don't care which side it is. It's just like I'm just here because I like the regular show. This guy got on there and he made this. It was just a very poorly done meme. And I need to say, a lot of times I don't think these regular show memes are that funny. Honestly, like they just don't. Usually it's somebody making a face, and it's usually like in this case it's just Benson being mad, and it's like he just types a few words on there, and it's like, okay. It was something about when one particular wing has to read a meme over 6 words long or something, and basically just calling the opposing wing dumb with a low IQ. And it's Benson really mad. And it's like, really? That's like the effort you put into that? I mean, there's nothing clever about that. Whichever wing you're on, there's nothing clever about that. It's just a poorly done meme. Sorry if you're the guy that did that. I'm sure you're not listening. But, and then somebody else gets on there and like, he makes another meme kind of making fun of that. And I thought, well, okay, that one's kind of clever. And here's how dumb I am. I tried to make a meme and like, I can't find a way to make the meme and download it and then put it up on the thing. But I was just going to make one with Benson that said, insert text here. It's the same picture, or when, insert text here in parentheses, something like that, and post it up. Because, I mean, that's kind of the thing. It like kept devolving or evolving into something different. But like, honestly, a lot of these regular show memes they're just not, these images just usually aren't good grounds for making memes. I'm sure there's possibilities. There's like, things that could be funny, like with, Muscle Man or some of these different images, but it's just like, I see him and it's like, this just isn't, sorry. I don't know. I don't know if it's just like so far removed from like the regular show content. Cause I see people making, like these regular show clips and like they overdub them and they're like basically like adult versions of regular show. I don't know. That's just not the show that I watched. I don't know. I think you've got to be very clever to be able to do adult humor. And it's some of these I guess are funny, but it's just usually they're just trying to be edgy. And I think I've spoken about that on here before. I don't find edginess in itself to be funny. Like, I don't know. And if you do, then more power to you. It's just, I don't. I think you've got to really have some clever jokes written underneath there for them to be funny, like Aqua Teen. I think Aqua Teen does that great. If the guys writing that weren't like brilliant at making subtle jokes and whatnot, that show, it just wouldn't fly. It'd just be like, okay, wow. It'd be Rick and Morty. Sorry. There, I said it. But yeah, it's just like edginess for the sake of edginess. It just doesn't cut it for me. And if you're one of these people making this content, I'm not saying it's bad. And I'm sure you're not listening. You're probably not one of the 5 people that listen to this show. But rock on. Keep doing what you're doing. More power to you. And lastly, a while back, Mark Hamill said he would not voice the Joker anymore because Kevin Conroy's passing. However, I think there's supposed to be something released. I don't think it's the Bruce Timm series that's coming out, but I think it's another project with Kevin Conroy voicing Batman. Maybe it's a movie, a DC animated movie. I'm not sure, but I think Mark Hamill was saying he's going to reprise the role one more time for this Kevin Conroy posthumous performance as Batman. I'm not 100% sure on that, but maybe I just dreamed that up. But, I seem to be excited about it, so that's what we're going to go with. So today, what are we here for? We're here for the regular show, so let's get on to that. So, Season 2, Episode 19 of the regular show is entitled Grave Sites. It first aired in the U.S. on May 9th, 2011, and October 12th, 2011 for the UK. Directed by Mike Roth, written and storyboarded by Benton Connor and Calvin Wong. Previous episode was Do Me a Solid, and next episode was Really Real Wrestling. The synopsis for this episode is Mordecai and Rigby accidentally raise the dead during a movie night in the cemetery. end synopsis. So, I mean, to me, it's just like, that just screams like success right there. I mean, not raising the dead during a movie night, but just the plot. It's like, you already have a good plot. I mean, that's just a setup for a good episode. Let's see the views on this episode. Let's see, production notes, 1.926 million views worldwide. And sort of as always, I kind of view that as, just me personally, I view that as a proxy for how appealing last week's episode was. At least partly. I mean, it's not always going to be like that. There's more things than that to go into it. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and say I really enjoyed this episode. And I watched a block of this, Really Real Wrestling. I'd forgotten how good that episode was. That I think I enjoyed that one even more than this one. But this one, I knew I would like it coming into it. So there's a lot to talk about here. Let's really quickly, very quickly, look at the Adventure Time episode that it went up against this week. So last week, if you recall, I said there was a mix-up, or not a mix-up, but like they went out of order with production codes or something. They had to go out of order with their initial plan on releasing episodes of Adventure Time. And I think I said this week Heat Signature would be the episode. I initially thought it would be Mortal Recoil because there's an episode, Mortal Folly, which is one of the best episodes up to that point. A fantastic episode. The best Ice King episode so far, I would say. Maybe there's one other that competes with it, and then I thought Mortal Recoil would be this week, which is also a pretty good episode overall with all the characters. However, Mortal Recoil apparently aired right after Mortal Folly on May 2nd, so both of them aired the same night. Both of them also, interestingly, got around the same views, 1.92 million, as the regular show. So, and that makes sense. You know, most people that watch this kind of watch the whole block, so to speak, especially when there were new episodes. And, you know, if they're airing on the same night. So, because, yeah, that's just the name of the game. This week, Heat Signature, that's the episode of Adventure Time, right around the same views as this episode of regular show. Heat Signature is an okay episode, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, like I always do, this episode of regular show would win this week. It would have been the better one because this is a pretty good episode of regular show. Heat Signature is kind of, in my opinion, an on par episode of Adventure Time. You know, nothing, in my opinion, nothing completely great about it. It's got a few funny moments, but nothing, you know, really that sticks out in my head. I know they mess with Lumpy Space Princess like they think they're invisible and they keep like messing up her living quarters in the forest. But, and she's just like, why are they doing this? But yeah, I would recommend, you know, obviously most episode of Adventure Time I would recommend watch just like I would regular show. But if you're going to just watch one, I would say watch the regular show episode this week. You might appreciate that information. Anyway, grave sites. Let's move on to a couple of things here. I'm going to look back at the pop culture references because there's quite a few in here, and some of them are obvious, okay? And there's a few, they say episode connections here. I noticed a few of them the first time I was watching it through, but, you know, I'm sure I didn't get them all. Sometimes I get lucky, and I catch some, like that Pink Floyd reference in that one episode, Muscle Woman, that this fandom doesn't catch. So, or at least they didn't get both parts. They just got one part. But anyway, yeah, I guess let's go ahead and get into this. Haha, I made you look. Fake out. Just kidding. I forgot to go over the voices. Mordecai is J.G. Quintel. Rigby is William Salyers. Pops Benson Muscleman is Sam Marin. Skip's guy number 2. And Howard Fightington is Mark Hamill. Video Store Dave and guy number 1 is our 6th Ranger, Roger Craig Smith. Hero Dude and guy number 3 is Jeff Glenn Bennett, our 7th Ranger, if Power Rangers ever had any 7th Rangers. I don't know. Anyway, now let's get into this. So your episode starts off like it always does, birds tweeting, the little synth thing on, and we're in the park. We're outside this time instead of in the house. Usually they're outside. First thing I want to say is in this episode, it's kind of apparent, it may just because I'm wearing different headphones, but it's very apparent, like you can hear the room that all the voice actors are talking in. Like you can hear the reverberations. It doesn't sound like they're outside. They definitely sound Their voices sound like they're in a booth of some sort. And I've noticed that on a few episodes, but it doesn't seem like it's that prevalent on every one of them. So I don't know. And that's not me like criticizing the show. It's just something I notice. It doesn't really take away from the viewing or listening experience to me. It's just something I notice. But anyway, the plot that's going on here is Benson's like, okay, we got to raise some money because the golf cart needs a new suspension. Don't know why that would be. And he looks over. They're having a staff meeting, by the way. All the guys are sitting on the steps. Skips, Pops, Muscle Man. I don't think Fives is there, but Mordecai and Rigby bottom step, just kind of like they normally are whenever they have that configuration. And Benson says, I don't know why that would be. And he looks over, and then, Mordecai and Rigby both kind of look separate ways up at the sky, And then Benson starts listing off all these other costs that are going to accumulate. But the main one he says is that the house is in need of general repairs. And Muscle Man raises his hand, and he's like, what's wrong with the house? And then the step that he's sitting on falls through. Benson just replies, that's what's wrong with the house. And then Rigby's like, well, what's in it for us?
Throws his
And
hands up in the
Benson
air.
says, and then
If
your
your
idea
falls
is the one
through
we
with it
choose, you'll
completely
get a
and falls
paid
down.
day.
Oh,
This joke,
like, the
it's
camera
just
kinda
your
zooms
generic
in on his
Muscle Man
mouth as
joke.
he's
It kind of
saying
falls like, so everybody's all
Just
on
do
board
the
with the
steps.
idea now, and they
It's not
start
a bad
listing
one, it's
off
just not
their
great.
ideas to raise money. And then finally,
Pops
Skips
gives an
is
answer
like,
that's
kind
kind
of,
of
or
Skip
suggestion that's kind of,
let's have a
like this
concert.
character at this point in
And
time.
Benson's
Let's have
like,
a bake sale. They're all like, nah.
And before he can say anything,
And then
Mordecai
Muscle
and
Man's
Rigby
like, ooh, I
jump
got some
up.
sporting
But there's a
equipment.
couple. Let's have a sports tournament or a
little
sports
things keep in your back pocket, short term and long term. The sports equipment that Muscle Man mentions, it's foreshadowing, and then also Skips. His concert recommendation is foreshadowing an episode that is to come up later on. That's really, this really kind of keys me into. They really do have a plan for Benson later on. There's too many coincidences. He's already played the drums once, okay, in the Summer Jam song, or That's My Jam, sorry. And now Skip's mentioning this again. They're definitely, at this point, I believe they definitely had the idea, we're going to develop this part of Benson's character. Before Benson can agree to anything, though, Mordecai and Rigby jump in. They're like, hey, Benson. Benson goes, no. They're like, but just hear us out. And he goes, no. Like, come on, Benson, just hear us out. And it's like, fine. But I think it's funny how he just cuts them off immediately. But they're like, let's have a scary movie night. And then Mordecai says, yeah, we could do it in the abandoned cemetery. And Benson's like, you want to have a scary movie night in the abandoned cemetery? Kind of like that, it's kind of like that cheesy 80s, Exposition City type stuff, which I love. And they're like, yeah. And he's like, you know what? That's actually a pretty good idea. And all the guys react to this. The Muscle Man, he pops his head out of the little hole he fell through, and he's like, what? And turns out, Fives was on the steps beside Muscle Man. He just didn't say anything. So Skips, and he's like,
Yeah, we had a movie night there a long time ago. It was a huge success.
and then Pops, he's all, oh, a night to the macabre in the crypt. How exciting. So everybody is like really on board with this, except for Muscle Man. They're already setting up this episode. Like, he's going to play that character to a T through the rest of this episode. Pretty much all of them are. Like, they stick to these archetypal characters. So this opening is kind of slow, but it's also very good setup to the rest of a very good episode. And the next part, it's callback to previous episodes. So Benson's like, Skips, you'll set up the chairs. And he's like, So this is callback to, I think, episode 2, just set up the chairs, where he told Mordecai and Rigby they're never setting up the chairs again, which maybe they do. Maybe they don't. But if they do, it's later on once the characters have matured a little bit. Either that or, well, I'm not going to give that away. But yeah, Benson's learned. He's given the set up the chairs job to like his most valued employee. So there we go. Benson starts giving out the rest of the jobs to everyone else. So Pops is in charge of concessions. Muscle Man and Fives are in charge of like costumes and design, and they give each other a high five. Benson says, I'm in charge of admissions. Like Benson, not me. And then he puts Mordecai and Rigby in charge of getting the movie and getting the word out. But if this doesn't go well, they're not getting the paid day off. So this is the first like really good part of the episode, or like the first memorable part. I'd forgotten it was in this episode when I watched it through, but They go, psh, or Mordecai goes, psh, it'll work. And then they start singing in unison, like their pitch is the exact same. Everything they start, because we know everything about scary movies, and you know nothing about scary movies. And they go, and we'll save the park with their knowledge of scary movies. And then, as fate would have it, people, Benson says, "Stop singing, or you're fired." And the shot that's on screen is the very shot that these people used to make this crappy meme about right-wing politics. So it's almost like it was meant to be that I saw that this week, because that's the exact shot. I didn't know it was in this episode. I had even forgotten it was in this episode. But yeah, the scary movie things, I can remember going around and kind of chanting that with one of my old roommates. He didn't really watch regular show all that much, but like he'd see little bits and pieces, and we would do stuff like that. So yeah, good times. So anyway, they say, we'll go get the movie. And then the scene cuts to the good old movie shack hut, movie hut shack, whatever it's called. Movie shack hut, I believe it is. The video store they always go to. And the first thing, Rigby, he's like, we got to get this movie, dude. And it's this one out there, this is for all the retro junkie people, Landon and Rob. Mounties of Death, Hoser Spree. And it's like a dude in a Canadian Mountie outfit. And he's like a skeleton chasing somebody with an axe. And Mordecai goes, the book was better. So he puts it back and he goes, we got to get this one, though. This is a classic in Italian horror. He goes, Libraria. And he holds it up and it says Libraria. And underneath the subtitle says, the subtext says, beware the Dewey Decimal System, like death. And it's a book and it's got like a knife slot carved out, like Dale Gribble would carve out the gun slot in the book. This one's got a knife or like a dagger spot carved out for it. And then in the left part of the book, like the left page or whatever, you've got the library card. So it's, yeah. And just underneath it, the little review underneath it says chilling, ... chilling. So, and Rigby, he's like, no, nobody wants to read subtitles all that long, man. And then the guy up at the front desk, he hears him talking. He's like, so y'all think you know about horror, huh? He goes, come look at what I've got up at the front desk. And this guy, first off, he's wearing one of those excellent progenitor caps that doesn't have the I'm excellent up at the top, but it's the blue and white cap. There's one of those in like every episode. This guy reminds me of Ward from King of the Hill, the episode Witches of East Arlen. I don't know why. Maybe it's the little goatee thing he's got going on. I don't know. But he pulls out, he's like, check out what I've got. And he pulls out this video, and it's Zombocalypse 3D. And immediately, the first thing I think, there's actually a lot of things that I think right when this hits. Like I see it and it's just like, I'm seeing Duke Nukem 3D. I'm also seeing Doom here, a reference to both. And then the guy on the front, it's like unmistakably, like just right when you see it, it's like, is that really a Bruce Campbell reference? And we'll find out here in a bit. Yes, it is. But yes, the cover looks just like either Doom. It really does look like Doom, but it also kind of looks like the Duke Nukem 3D cover. I think there's some similarities between those two. I'm not sure, though. But even the case almost looks like a one of those PC game cases you'd get back in the 90s. So Rigby says, hey, I saw this a few years back. And the guy says, no, you didn't. This is the remastered bootleg director's cut. Something like that. And he says, 3 hours and 28 minutes of pee your pants horror that'll make your eyeballs barf. And Mordecai's like, wait. And then he opens it up and it's this weird looking, it's like some cartridge, like a DAT cartridge or something. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like this little tiny cassette looking thing it's got tape in it. At least it looks like it. And it says Zombocalypse 3D. And then underneath it says the D is for dead. And Mordecai's like, wait, what even is this? And the guy's like, Zetamax 3D, the only way to experience this. And he goes, of course, you're going to need this. And he reaches under the counter and he goes, and he drops it on the counter and he says, the Zetamax Projectron 3000. He goes, it'll really make those zombies pop. And they're like, whoa, we'll take it. And he goes, wise choice. You're going to need some of these. And he reaches underneath the counter and he pulls out all these 3D glasses. And like most of them have like water stains all over them. They're just the grossest looking 3D glasses, with the blue and the red lenses. And it's just like, it's kind of funny because it's like, those things have never been used and they're just getting water damage underneath the counter. And he's just like kind of snake oiled them into getting this. But, whatever. So then Mordecai and Rigby, to cut the shot, they go, pay day off. And then they give each other a 5, and it cuts to the montage. And it flips up the poster that they're handing, or that they're going to be handing out and hanging up. And it's just like, Zompocalypse 3D. It's just like this generic poster. And they start hanging them up everywhere. And this montage, I got to say, it's probably the first part in this show ever that really gives me the feel of autumn. Most of this show kind of reminds me of summertime, but this episode really reminds me of autumn, like everything about it. I mean, honestly, the whole feel of it. I mean, they go into a graveyard to clean it up, and the leaves are kind of turning color, and they're decorating like almost Halloweenish looking costumes. Muscle Man's or Fives is painting like these skeletons, putting markers on their faces, Sharpies, whatever. Muscle Man's pouring ketchup on the graves. And one of the graves says Lily Reardon, born in 1885, beloved wife. And the other one says like Wesley Mouch, something like that, 1822 to 1914. And it says a life unlived. Anyway, even the song that they use in this really feels like an Octoberish type of song. It kind of, I don't know what it's called. It puts me in the mind of maybe like a Rainbow song with Richie Blackmore, that band he started, Rainbow. Kind of reminds me of maybe a song that they would play. A very, I don't want to say atmospheric song, but it just really puts you in a specific mood. And for this, I mean, it just seems to fit the vibe of this montage a lot like a glove. It kind of reminds me, I don't want to drag this on too long, but it kind of reminds me of something you'd hear on that video game, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. So everything kind of puts me in that kind of feel right now. So some of the tactics that the guys are using, they're covering up building walls with these posters, just like completely covering up, like maybe something you would have seen like in the Seattle grunge type era, where just walls were just completely covered with flyers. They go into a horror con, and people are walking around. One of them's got like a Jason mask on, and looks like some dude's got like a yellow raincoat, but Mordecai and Rigby are standing in the middle dressed up like zombies. And the funny thing is Rigby's just standing there not moving. And it's kind of like the animation where he's got his nose pointed up to the ceiling, but his eyeballs look like they're in front of his face. And he's just got his mouth hanging open. He's like gawking at the ceiling, and he's holding up like flyer, people are walking by. So that's pretty clever. Then it cuts to Benson. It's cut to him a couple times, but he's like surprised that all the people are coming into the box office or for admissions, whatever. And then it cuts to another shot of him, which once again is used for a meme a lot of times in regular show, Community or whatever. He's standing on it, and it's a black screen behind him, and dollar bills are like falling around, like raining around him, and he's looking up in amazement. So this episode might be the most memed episode we've seen so far. So the movie night gets here, and there's a huge turnout, and Pops is at the at concessions or whatever, and he's like, "Come get your candied cobwebs on a stick," or something. He's handing out cotton candy, and Benson's still like, "I can't believe how many people are here," and Skips is just standing behind him. Muscle Man comes up, and he's like, "I still think this night's going to be a failure. I brought my sports equipment just in case, or if this movie goes south, and I know it will." Something like that. He's like, "I brought my sports equipment here as a backup plan." And he drops it and says, "You dudes are going to thank me later." So once again, kind of obvious foreshadowing at this point. So they fire up the old Zetamax or Zetatron or whatever, and the movie starts, and it's basically Bruce Campbell. And it's that time in the show, you know who else watched this show with me? Yeah. My mom watched this show with me. So I was like, who do you think this is? And she was like, she guessed like something like, she didn't get it like right away, but she saw it afterwards, but she guessed like I can't even remember who the actor was, but I'm like, I'm not seeing it. It was like something completely different. But anyway, Bruce Campbell basically is walking down the streets, and it's kind of like, looks like a scene out of Omega Man or something. And he's like, "I was your average everyday guy, but that was before it happened. Before the satellite triggered the necrovirus and turned everything into a zombie," or something like that. And he's got like a shovel handle with a nail through it and a shotgun on his back, his boomstick basically. And a zombie jumps out of the car, and he steps back and he says, "Batter up," and he hits it, and then the zombie like smacks into the camera, kind of like on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles Through Time, when you throw the dudes into the camera. And he says, "This is Zombocalypse.
3D. And then everybody starts cheering. And then the scene cuts. This is the great part, by the way. This might be the best part of the movie. They have a movie storyline that they have created to be running in the background of this main story, which is awesome. Kind of reminds me of Max Payne, the Lords and Ladies TV show that you watch on there. But anyway, they cut to the scene and they're in this little cabin and all these zombies are approaching the cabin and he's looking out the window. And this is I think it's a combination of Night of the Living Dead and Evil Dead. But he's like, don't worry, baby. He says something like they'll have to get in and they won't be able to get in. I think we're safe in here, baby. And then he goes, nobody says anything. He goes, baby. And he looks over and she's laying on the ground and she raises her head up and she's turned into a zombie too. And like she jumps on him and starts trying to, like kill him. And I got to say, whoever's voicing the Bruce Campbell character here is doing a fantastic job. It's funny. He sounds pretty similar. So anyway, that zombie's got him pinned down and he goes, oh, baby, you let yourself go real bad. And that line always cracks me up when he says that because it's like, that's the one that really convinced me the first time I watched it. Like, yes, this is like a Bruce Campbell tribute. So, yeah. Mordecai grabs Rigby on the shoulder and it freaks him out and he knocks the Zetatron over and it knocks the tape out. And right when that zombie's about to bite the Bruce Campbell figure on the arm, the movie goes off and everybody's like, boo, I want my money back. And Vince is turning around and he's like, fix it, fix it. And then Rigby picks up the thing, the little cartridge, and he's like blowing in it like an NES cartridge or something. And he ends up spitting on it by accident, I think. And Mordecai, and he's trying to wipe it off with his arm. Mordecai says, why'd you spit on it? And he goes, I don't know, just shut up. And he puts it in there in the Zetatron. He tries to turn it back on. And at this point, Vince has got a chair smacking in the ground going, fix it, fix it. And Rigby starts like hitting the Zetatron and then it shoots out all these beams and it hits all the graves and goes underground. It hits one guy and he goes, oh, my kidney. But the beams like bounce off the graves and go underneath the ground into the actual dead people, I guess. And you see like one dead guy open his eyes, But the movie ends up coming back on because I think they had the cartridge upside down or something. Everybody's happy then. They're like, okay, we're good to go. So Rigby says, thanks for almost getting rid of our paid day off. And then the zombies, they're up walking around at this point, and one busts through the screen, and they're like, whoa, the zombies really do pop out at you. And said, look at that one. It's getting really close. And it's like coming closer to the camera, and Mordecai says, wait, we don't have our 3D glasses on. So they realize that that's a real zombie, and the thing was walking around, and it comes up to one guy's face, and the guy's like, hey, look at this, and it actually grabs his arm. Like, you would think he would pick it up, but it grabs his arm. It's about to take a bite out of it. And they're like, what do we do? What do we do? And then, like, the longest time lapse ever. By now, this dude would have his arm bitten off. But, like, 15 seconds this takes. They look up on screen, and the Bruce Campbell guy grabs a buzzsaw blade, and he says, hey, worm bait. And he throws it, and it cuts the zombie's head off. And then the guys are like, oh, Muscle Man Sports Equipment. So they get a discus. And Mordecai throws it, and it's, like, the best throw ever because he's, like, forever away. And it ends up taking the zombie's head clean off. So, yeah, it's, not very realistic. But, I mean, we got zombies walking around. What am I complaining about? So, yeah, it's the episode's, like, heating up at this point. So then Rigby's like, oh, man, what do we do now? And the ground starts shaking. Or maybe he says that while the ground's shaking. But one of the coolest parts of this episode, you get, like, a voiceover from the movie. And the Bruce Campbell guy is like, okay, genius, let me put this in terms you'll understand. And like lightning's like going through all the graves. And he's like, that thing you just did, you woke up the dead and now they're ticked off. And it's just like that fits this episode so well. It's just funny. It's like, yeah, like that's actually going to fit, maybe it's not even funny. It's just kind of cool. It's like, a secondary piece of media they have. And this piece of media is making commentary on this piece of media, which that secondary piece of media is created by the creators of this media. I don't know. It's kind of getting deep, but it's cool. It kind of reminds me of when like you hear like somebody do like a voiceover on a Pink Floyd song or something, or maybe like Guns N' Roses Civil War, where the Cool Hand Luke clip from the movie Cool Hand Luke plays over the beginning of the song. Anyway, it's kind of like something like that. But all the zombies, like as he says, and they're ticked off, or he says, you've raised the dead, and they're ticked off. They all come out of the ground, and they're like walking towards everybody now. And it's worth mentioning that one of the zombies is wearing tidy whities. One of the zombie ladies has what looks like a rat on her head. But anyway, the big thing now is, dude, if we let anybody get hurt, we won't get our paid day off. That's all they care about. So they grab the sports equipment. Rigby grabs all the like the lances, or whatever the javelins. Sorry, not lances. I don't know what I'm thinking. Mordecai grabs all the discus, and they're all like, ah! They make this ridiculous like battle cry, and they run over there and they start like fighting all the zombies. And as Rigby's, well, I guess first off, one of J.G. Quintel's animated doppelgangers is like, dude, look at that. You know, zombie took a hit or something like that. He says something. It's actually two different people. A different guy says zombie took a hit, but he's like, you know, one of them looks a lot, very eerily similar to J.G. Quintel. But Mordecai's throwing discuses, smashing their faces in, and Rigby's trying to fight him back with one of the javelins. And as he's doing that, as he's swinging it on the screen, the Bruce Campbell guy behind him on the projector screen is also like doing the same thing. So, and as he's doing that, one of the guys in the audience is wearing a fist pump shirt. So there's a callback to another episode for you. So Muscle Man and Skips join the fray too. Muscle Man throws a javelin and hits somebody. He's like, yo guys, I told you these things would come in handy. And then Skips grabs a pole vault and he starts running with it and he starts going, ah! And the Bruce Campbell character is doing the same thing on screen, and it's cutting back and forth between him going, ah, 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 and they both basically impale a bunch of zombies, and Skips like pole vaults off of it, comes back down and smashes their head into dust. And then it cuts back to the screen of Bruce Campbell guy, and he's like, somebody fire up the grill because I got a zombie kebab, which is like a horrible line, but you know, as is like routine for his movies, they're like horrible one-liners, but they're hilarious and people love them. And, you know, same thing here. All the people start cheering and everything. So then the scene cuts to, the camera just cuts to Pops, and he's giving away cotton candy. He's like, now, don't crowd. There's enough for everybody. And he doesn't get the zombies are trying to eat him. One comes and grabs him on the shoulder, and it horrifies him. And then Muscle Man comes to save him. He's like, yo, Wormhole, get a tasty lick of this. And he's got a shot put. And the stupid zombie just sits there long enough for Muscle Man to slowly spin around 3 or 4 times and then launch the shot put at it and hit it. So that kind of gets me too. That's pretty funny. And let's see. One of the zombies comes up to Benson and he's like, wow, this is awesome. And he's about to eat Benson, I guess. So Mordecai's like, what? And he throws a discus and cuts the zombie's head off, and it bounces off Benson's head. And Benson's like just laughing. And they seem to be doing well, managing everything. But then all of a sudden, a new challenger joins the fight. A new challenger approaches. Like you see, like the ground rumbles and another flash of like light. And the guy underneath the grave entitled Howard Hellion Fightington. And I'm wanting to think the grave reads like 1808 to 1923. So he's pretty old. But he comes up out of the ground, and this guy looks like he would have been a bare knuckle boxer. He's very burly looking, very muscular, with a handlebar type mustache. He's bald. And the guy that parallels him on the movie that they're watching looks like something off of the Road Warriors or something, Mad Max. He's got like spike suspenders, but he's also bald. He cracks his knuckles and kind of gives out a battle cry, and they're like, Skips, look out. Skip sees him, and he goes up to take him on. He runs up to him, or, Skips up to him, and you think he'd have a really good plan. He kicks the zombie in the crotch. The great thing is I guess the zombie, it's like dry rotted, like it just turns to dust when he kicks him there. And Skips goes, oh no. And the zombie just like punches him, like knocks him down. And so then Mordecai and Rigby are like, oh no. So they throw javelins, and the Howard Fightington catches him, throws him back and almost hits him. And they're like, he's just too strong. And then Rigby says, Mordecai, look, a cart. And there's a golf cart parked back there. And they get into it. And then lights turn on behind Howard Fightington, and it's Camaro lights. So like the movie's still paralleling what Mordecai and Rigby are doing. And Bruce Campbell's like in like this, I shouldn't say Camaro. I don't know what kind of car it is. It's a muscle car though. And he's revving up the engine, and Mordecai and Rigby are in the golf cart. And it's like the car is behind Howard Fightington, and Mordecai and Rigby are in front of him with the golf cart. And this might be the best part of the entire episode. They start doing the same thing where Skips and Bruce Campbell cut back and forth, rah, rah, rah. But now it's Mordecai and Bruce Campbell like giving like this, speech to the main baddie. So Mordecai starts it off and he says, okay, you lousy undead creep. And then it cuts to the Bruce Campbell guy and he goes, you've taken a lot from me, But if you think you're going to deprive me of my, and then it cuts back to Mordecai and he goes, paid day off. That cracks me up. I'm sorry. Then they both simultaneously say, you're sorely mistaken. And then they both hit the gas pedal and they start driving, towards their enemy. So Mordecai and Rigby run over 2 zombies. And then the third one, they look over at each other and they nod when it's coming towards Howard Fightington. And they both jump out. And then for whatever reason, it's like, they jumped out of it. Now it completely changes the game. But they jump out and it hits them and it explodes. It's kind of like Halloween 2, where it's like he runs them into the van and then the van explodes or whatever, but it's like it wouldn't have exploded if they were in it or something, whatever. It ends as quick as that. That's how fast the fight ends, which I kind of love. Maybe it's that suspension that they needed to replace on the golf cart that it was faulty, so it caused it to explode or something. But the flames eat up the screen behind them, and it says the end. So the movie goes up in flames, and everybody just starts cheering and love it. And comes up laughing. He's like, "Man, that was great! It felt like I was in the actual movie." And you totally earned that paid day off. And then Mordecai and Rigby were going, yeah, getting each other fives. And Vincent says, and you're going to earn another one because tomorrow night we're doing this exact same thing the exact same way or something like that. And they're like, and then Vincent walks off and one of them says, can we take that paid day off tomorrow? And then the episode ends. So that is the episode Grave Sites. That I'm just going to go ahead and get the review out of the way, like the rating. I'm thinking I'm going to give it probably a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. Not because the jokes were the greatest. It had a little bit of a slow start, but this is one of those episodes, I'd mentioned it before, like the High Fives Ghost Party episode or Muscle Man Party episode. There's a lot going on with the scenery. There's a lot going on with all the little Easter eggs in the background. And in addition to that, it's an autumn type scene, so those always make for good episodes, especially with this series, the Halloweenish type episodes. Stack on top of that, there's a lot of good jokes and one-liners in this, and there's a lot of homages to different pop culture. There's different pop culture references that are very nostalgic, but also funny at the same time. So, there's a lot of callbacks to other episodes. It's really a quality episode, in my opinion. So let's look at a couple of things here on the trivia. So a flash game based on this episode was released on the Cartoon Network website called Night Marathon. I did not know this. That's pretty cool. That's cool. If it's an episode that's good enough to have a game made after it, then there we go. The park is revealed to have a cemetery. I guess we didn't know that until now. The park previously had a successful movie night in the abandoned cemetery. Yeah, that was stated. Mordecai believes the book version of Mounties of Death, Hoser Spree, was better than the movie. That I thought that was part of kind of the joke, That was also stated. So there we go. Episode connections. Skips is assigned to set up the chairs, not Mordecai and Rigby. That's okay. And Muscle Man does the same spin throw again. So starter pack. I don't remember which episode starter pack was. Maybe that'll be a future episode. Maybe I'm just overlooking. I can't remember. But starter pack, I don't know. I'll have to look at it again. I can't think of what episode that would be off the top of my head. That does seem like, I do know Starla did a shot put throw on Muscle Woman episode. So there we go. Pop culture references. The film that Mordecai and Rigby rent, Zompocalypse 3D, appears to be based on numerous different 80s horror movies such as Dawn of Dead and Evil Dead series. The cover is a close resemblance to the cover of 1993 video game Doom. And like I said, I also think there's some Duke Nukem in there myself. Another film scene is Libraria, a reference to the 1977 film Suspiria. I didn't catch that. The film Mounties of Death, Hoser Spree seems to be homage to all slasher films and not any specific one. Let's see, goofs. The markings High Fives Ghost draws on the fake skeleton incorrectly appears in front of his body. When Mordecai and Ruby drive the golf cart towards Howard Fightington, the zombie can briefly be seen layered on top of the cart's dashboard instead of being obscured by it. Okay. I overlooked it if I did see it. In Australia, this episode was outright banned, but it was later unbanned. So good for them. They got a good episode. This is one of the better episodes so far. It's not best at any one thing, but it does seem to have a very good bottom line to it. So it's, very quality episode in my opinion. It's not the best one we've seen, but it's up there so far. So yeah. And like I said, this is probably the most meme rich episodes that I've seen to this point in the series that we've covered. So yeah, I really liked it. Like I said, I'm going to give it a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. I'm not sure which end. It would have beaten the Adventure Time episode this week, though, for sure. Next week, I think next week's episode is an even better one for different reasons. I think the jokes are better in next week's episode. Maybe it was this episode got me warmed up and then I watched the next one, but I enjoyed the next one even more than I did this one when I watched it. So that's about all I got, people. I appreciate you listening to the show. I believe Rob and I are going to start doing Turtles Forever, at least a little bit more. He texted me not long ago. We're supposed to do one this Friday. By the time you hear this, it'll probably have been out for several months, just like this episode. So, yeah. Sorry, not just like this episode, just like the recording of this episode. If you would, maybe leave a review, share that word of mouth. That really helps everything grow on this channel. I appreciate it. And last I checked, we're up to about 20-something listeners. So I do appreciate that. It makes it worth doing. It's getting a little bit harder to do the episodes just because so much is going on. And it's a time commitment, having to record around different sound sources and also come up with material and stuff. But I enjoy doing it. So appreciate you listening. And until next time, insert that phrase that people say when people tell them to do that certain thing that they do, and as long as it doesn't upset that other person, and it's a meme. Maybe. Thanks for listening. Sayonara.